And boom, according to that, I am live. Welcome. This is Sunday night, 10 p.m. It's Tokyo tonight. We thought it might be a 2.5 Oyajis this week, but if you haven't been following on Give Me a Break Man's channel, on Victor's channel, he was walking and talking with I think a DJI camera or something like that. He was filming himself. It actually happened to him live in a live stream where he accidentally fell into a deep sort of concrete drainage drain, which not only cut him, but it actually caused some tissue injuries and so on. And apparently it got quite nasty. It got a bit infected. And he's actually not been like laid out and not able to walk and needing to go to the hospital, and he was on an IV. It looks like it's under control now and he is getting better, but it takes a lot out of you when you've got your body fighting off something like that. So Victor is not feeling up to a 2.5 Oyajis this week. When we do it, it will be cool. We've got some new sort of J vloggers or people who are new to us and some reaction videos and so on to do. We really did enjoy the reaction video, maybe a little bit too much, to the Oriental Pearl Chris Broad drama, which apparently is still going on. There was some 1.5 hour long video put out the other day, which I kind of got like sick of after about 5 minutes, and I turned it off after 15 minutes. I actually held on for quite a long time. I'm kind of dumb with the whole thing. The whole thing is kind of ridiculous, frankly. Yeah, it's good. I would like to thank them both for bringing back the drama. I do feel like we've suddenly become aware more about the community, and it's something which Victor and I are going to do when Victor is not falling into ditches and destroying his leg and stuff like that. So he should hopefully be back. So probably this time next week we'll be doing 2.5 Oyajis. As a result, I wasn't really all that prepared. I mean, normally I do all the preparation on the last day, but yeah, I've had a bit of a fun day running around and doing bits and pieces. And I must admit, it's kind of funny. After months, normally rainy season lasts for 3 or 4 weeks, and we didn't really have a rainy season this year. Back in sort of spring, summer start, sort of late May, June is normally rainy season. We didn't have that. And normally this time of year, autumn is spectacular, sunny, dry, cool every day. And instead, it seems like the rainy season came now, and we've had like weeks and weeks of just dreary, sort of gray Pacific Northwest Seattle type weather. And it's been really depressing, but we've finally had some spectacular, cold, dry, sunny days lately. So now it really is the time of year to come to Japan. But the one thing that happens with that I've been forgetting, because it hasn't really been settling properly into the sort of cold autumn mode, is that the weather is lovely. It's really beautiful. It's lovely going out in the sun during the day and with it being dry and crisp and everything like that. But also everything inside is always overheated in Japan. And that means that the moment you go inside anywhere, you instantly become like drowsy. And if you add to that a bit of exercise and so on, then it's a disaster. You go inside and you immediately start falling asleep. And yeah, I've been running around a lot, and I get inside and I feel a little bit drowsy. So I'm not as prepared as I really should be for the show tonight. But that is cool. We'll go through what we have. And more than that, if you guys want to talk about any topics or anything like that, we can do that as well. Plus, this weekend, today is the only public holiday in the calendar that I remember, because today is my father's birthday, actually. Because it's on a Sunday, tomorrow the 24th is actually becoming a public holiday. What is the holiday actually? Rodo, it's thanks for labor. It's Labor Thanksgiving Day. Thanks for hard work day. And I think there's going to be all sorts of sales and stuff on at the moment, which maybe I'll stay up for. But the good thing about that is it means for the after party, I'm not going to be so freaked out about getting to sleep early, so I can play a little bit longer, so that'll be an upside, which will be pretty cool. But yes, let's jump in and check out the comments and who is in here. Say hello if you're in the chat. I always appreciate that. We've got 16 people in here at the moment, and we'll get into the topics that I have and anything that you want to talk about, and then we'll just get into an after party. I'm looking forward to just playing some music, honestly. So here we go. We've got Dan H making it in here first, saying hi. Or he, I suppose, if you're Spanish. If you're Spanish, don't have H, do they? Well, no, of course they have H. What am I talking about? Anyway, hi indeed. The one thing I must say is that Takaichi, she likes to make Japanese news a bit more interesting. Certainly. I mean, that is the main topic of news, and we will talk about it. Takaichi has only been prime minister for 4 weeks. And while I have repeatedly called her a drooling right-wing maniac, speaking of which, I don't talk about America, but it is a funny time to be a drooling right-wing maniac, of course, with Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning Congress. I watched The Daily Show, and I don't know. I don't really understand what's happening in America. I don't even try to anymore. It's become a Venezuelan, drama, which is going to attack Venezuela, which I guess really does make it a Venezuelan drama. I don't understand what's happening with America right now. So yeah, Japan, that's why we watch this. But yeah, drama happening with Japan. We're going to be talking about that. Takaichi, and the thing is, on the whole China thing, yeah, she probably shouldn't have said exactly the way that she said it, but she's not like wrong, and she's saying the right thing. Why should you apologize for saying that you're going to defend, like, why is China so put out that other people are saying, yeah, we don't think it's a good idea for China to invade anyone? Anyway, we'll get into that. Third, Shubhas is in the comments. Second, glad that you can make it. Great to see you in here, Shubhas. Hope you're enjoying a delicious cup of coffee, especially now it's 30 minutes earlier in the morning for you. Cobra Tenshi, third in here. Going to heat up the room, make some coffee. Excellent. The weather outside is frightful. We've got no place to know what's up tonight in Tokyo. That's very Die Hard. That was definitely, was that? I think that was Die Hard 2 that they played that song. But anyway, also I was sitting in Starbucks the other day. They were already playing Christmas music. They were playing Christmas in Hollis, which is of course the theme song of the movie Die Hard. When Bruce Willis is riding in the limousine to Nakatomi Plaza, and the guy's saying, can't you play some Christmas music? And he says, this is Christmas music. And it's Run DMC playing Christmas in Hollis. And that is the theme to Die Hard. And it is Christmas music. And that proves that Die Hard is a Christmas movie. And that is an awesome thing. Anyway, we've got Lara made it in here. Great to see. Nice to have you in here. Everybody is beautiful indeed. Present company included or excluded. Nice to see everyone. I'm getting a fresh cup over there. We've got Jane Motts in here. Potentially this weather outside where you are is indeed frightfully awful. I'm sorry to hear that, Jane. I'm curious, are you in London? You're in UK, right? Whereabouts in UK are you again? You've probably mentioned it before. Your good taste in drum and bass music implies the north, although I suppose not necessarily. But anyway, that's all very, very good stuff. In fact, it's not necessarily, I associate the sort of northern scene with the drum and bass labels that I would buy in New Zealand. But there again, Brighton and so on also have good scenes. So who knows? Anyway, I'm curious. And I hope that the weather does improve for you. It's suddenly, today was a little bit grey, but the weather is finally getting to be spectacular in Japan. Like 15 degrees Celsius during the day, 7 degrees at night, sunny and spectacular all day, great sunsets, everything. This is really the time to come here, especially the yen, by the way. The yen went apparently up. I'm watching a thing this morning. I might be wrong about this because actually the Langley Esquire news roundup said that the yen went to 157 yen to the US dollar, which means if you're working in US dollars, it's absolutely absurd right now. I really wish I still had all of my US savings ready to change over into yen, but it is a great time to be coming to Japan in all ways. -4 in Germany, where Cobra Tenshi is. So that is also very, very frosty. That sounds quite cold. I'm surprised actually you could even wake up. If it was -4 degrees outside in the morning, I would probably just sleep all day. So I do appreciate you indeed keeping me company here. Tadom has made it in here. Great to have you in here. I hope everyone's getting in the holiday spirit indeed. One thing about actually living in the Northern Hemisphere that I really appreciate is you realize you realize this in the Southern Hemisphere. The way the calendar is completely made for people who live in the Northern Hemisphere, which is to say during summer, which is awesome anyway, and people have summer vacations and whatever, there aren't that many public holidays. But in the end of the year, when everything sucks and is awful, and everybody has all these endless vacations, like every 2 weeks, there's some cool vacation or festival to help sort of carry you through the dark and dreary sort of months to make them, brighten them up and make them fun. So you go through Christmas and you go through Thanksgiving and Halloween, all this sort of stuff. In the Southern Hemisphere, though, our seasons are the opposite, which means all of the best holidays happen in the middle of summer vacations. For me, Christmas is a mid-summer school vacation thing. So you can't send your kids away to summer camp because Christmas is right in the middle of it, all these sorts of things. And yet our winters suck so much in the Southern Hemisphere, particularly, at least in Australia, they have good weather even in winter, but in New Zealand, where the weather is like in the UK, and basically like between June and September, there's nothing to look forward to. There's no vacations. There's no break. It's just relentless, depressing cold. And when they give us all the cool vacations, we've already got time off anyway, so it's kind of pointless. But anyway, so living in the Northern Hemisphere, we have that, and indeed holiday spirit. Although I'll tell you what I am doing for my end of year holidays is I'm going back down to the Southern Hemisphere and enjoying some extra summer, because Christmas is a summer season to me. So there we go. Anyway, Corinne Ragged, glad that you could make it in as always. Excellent to see you. Hope you're doing very well. Sadiq, Sadiq is in number 4. That's a rare admission of positionality there from Sadiq, although I'm not sure that you're actually 4. I'm pretty sure I've said about 15 names until now, but so from that perspective, probably 4 is an appropriate. Now 3. I don't know, maybe it's people watching at the time. Who knows? Shivers needs that jolt of a hot cuppa in the morning. Cold has never done it for. But you're in Panama. Does it get really cold there? Anyway, I'm glad that you are enjoying the weather there. We've got Kerberos Tenshi. Hello to everybody. Speaking of coffee, has anyone heard of Starbucks coffee origami? It's a single serve drip brew made of paper that you can put over a cup and pour water into. That sounds amazing. Did they serve that in America, or was that like a Japan thing? I must admit, I was actually to these couple of weeks. There's a lot of things going on work-wise that I'm welcoming people from other parts of the world, particularly America. And I did make a point. I had to rush into a meeting, and I needed to get a coffee in a hurry. And our internal cafe had a line that was too long, so I ran downstairs to the. In fact, that's right. I was in the other building. That's why I had to run across to the Family Mart, and I got a large Family Mart latte, which is awesome. And I didn't frame it this way, but I did say that, the Family Mart convenience store coffee seriously is better than the Starbucks in America, and the Starbucks in Japan is astronomically better than the Starbucks in America. And I don't know how this can be, because I think they're using the same beans and everything, but I don't know. Everything in America just tasted so sweet to me, and just the Starbucks are sort of dirty and messy, and I don't know. Japan, just everyone always just ups it. So yeah, I feel like looking up the origami thing. I've not heard of it. Maybe other people have. Aaron, we've got a boom from our moderator. Thank you as always, and great to see that. Victor did a Miss Jamaica from the Miss Universe concert. What did Miss Jamaica do? I mean. Thank you. I must admit, I try to keep up with the news, but I'm not entirely up. I did see how the Miss was it Miss Mexico was berated for. I mean, yeah. I know when I was a kid and we only had 2 channels, I would actually watch was it every year? Probably wasn't every year. My mum was very much against beauty pageants. I didn't understand why. I loved watching dog shows, beauty pageants, anything where you randomly score the appearance of things. And the funny thing was, while my mum was militantly calling pageants meat shows, and I wasn't allowed to watch it, but there's only 2 shows on TV, so it's literally the same as being banned from TV. So what are you going to do? I remember watching it with my grandmother, and my grandmother, who some people say I'm in my family say I take after this particular my father's mother more than anyone else. I remember her and I were basically with notepads out, scoring the contestants and tracking who was winning at any given time. And my grandma was pretty good at scoring the hot chicks, I must say. So yeah. One of many things. I got on very well with my grandmother, and we loved watching beauty pageants together. That said, I'm not as up to date at the moment, and even the recent drama, or I think Miss Mexico won right after getting it. But that's just what I saw was just so painful. So not doing that. Anyway, I'm doing okay. Hope you're all doing okay. Who else is in here? We got Yoni is in here. Moi to Finland. I love that we get to speak a bit of Finnish every week. Good to have you in here. We got Japan Mono More, the Japan House, Black Tengu in here. Woman Tat Athens too. Glad to hear that. That's just getting old. Thank you, Dan. We're all getting old. I don't think I don't think there's anyone here who's getting younger. But that is a thing. So I think we've said hello to everyone. Oh no, we haven't. It just my StreamYard chat just suddenly updated, and now I'm like halfway through. So I was okay. Let's go through. Who else we got in here? Who has made their own Thanksgiving? Yeah, Japan has a Thanksgiving, except instead of turkeys, the turkeys are the working people, which I guess they are in America too, if you think about it. But in Japan, yeah, they say thank you for everybody for doing such a good job working, which is kind of nice. A little bit communisty, but in a nice sort of a nice communist sort of a way. It's a nice vacation, and who really gives a crap if you get the day off work, right? The Atomic Tom, good to have another person in from Germany. As always, great to see you. Hope that you are doing well. Hope it's not too cold there. Cobra's Tenchi sounded pretty cold. My sound is a bit weird, especially when I'm not kissing the mic. It sounds weird when I'm not kissing the mic. Let me just check if the sound settings are doing weird things. No. Let me check the gain on the back. The gain is normal. It is a little bit sensitive to which direction I'm pointing in. It sounds weird if I'm not kissing the mic, so I should be kissing the mic, is what you're saying. I mean, this isn't really that. I only do that on my OnlyFans. But in fact, no, that sounds. I just realized what that sounds like. No. I retract that comment. I don't know why my sound is weird. The mic is staying here. I'm going to try to keep my face in one direction. We'll see how we go. Anyway, I get to stay up late. Woo, yes indeed, which is basically until your brunch, which is the best time of day for eating on a Sunday in the UK. Yeah, 8 likes. I don't know about that. China, stop being a little bit. Well, technically China's very large, so that's not entirely accurate there. But yes, otherwise I agree. What do I think about the Texas Muslim? I'm so glad I have no idea what you're talking about. The Sharian innocence, which is not applied in my, I don't, Sadiq, I am delighted to say I don't know anything about that. If you don't think, Eric Bailey, great to see Eric Bailey, and if you don't think that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, then I don't think I want to know you. You're damn straight. You're damn straight. Couldn't have put it better myself. Manchester, see, there we go. And that's why you know all the good club music. So, yes, indeed. Nice to hear that. Bit chilly in London. That sounds about accurate. That's what I would expect. Skipping through 22 degrees in the mountains of Panama. So I guess, oh crap, did I accidentally hide? No, let's not hide. Oh, okay. I didn't know. I think I misclicked something there for a moment. 22 degrees. That sounds actually very, very nice. So glad that you're having that. We've got the pound is still only 204 against the yen. So it's really maybe more that the US dollar is getting crazy strong as much as the yen is weak. All holidays and feasts are invented. Just invent a few of your own. Yeah, you don't understand New Zealand. You don't understand the people who wear this rugby jersey still are sad that they left the UK for some reason. They wish that they were there, and yeah, we're not confident enough to have our own holidays, which is sad. But anyway, the coffee origami thing is a Japan thing. I was not aware. I should try that out sometime. I think she fell off the stage. Who did? That is, well, somebody did anyway. Scrolling. Speaking of pageants, did I see Miss Chili's recent heavy metal? I did see that actually, Tadam. I don't know where I saw a clip, the death metal. In fact, I think that was on Daily Show that I saw that, and that was quite impressive. That's right, Miss Chili. I did see that. So that was a good thing. Yes. Please. Hey, nobody said the way that I was going to kiss the mic. Okay, but I don't know if there is a correct way to kiss it anyway. But no, we're not going to do that. You got lost in Die Hard 6. Wow, I think. And we whooped your ass in the rugby. Enjoy it, Dan H. England did indeed beat New Zealand in the rugby, although we took out our frustrations on Wales. But there again, so does everybody. Wales did beat Japan, which was the first international game that Wales has won in like 3 years. But that is indeed a thing, and it was a bit of a sad day that we lost to the English. But yeah, good on you there. And we've got indeed Believe in Yourself. Great to have you in here and saying hello to everybody. Glad to hear that it sounds fine, and I don't need to kiss any microphones because that sounds like a metaphor. So if that is it and the comments are up to date, let's dive into what I have. But like I said, I actually haven't, I was expecting to do a 2.5 Voyages tonight. We only sorted out today that we weren't doing it. So I'm not all that prepared, but I can go into what we have and we can talk about whatever you guys want. And we can just get into playing some tunes after the show. Going to start an OnlyFans ASMR. Not really, no. I don't know. Maybe I'll retire doing that. I don't know if there are any retirement OnlyFans channels, but maybe I can figure out a way of doing that. Who knows? Bit of side hustle income there. So what do we got here? Well, basically the whole week has been this, and actually, there's a really good summary of this on Wikipedia, which I put up onto Blue Sky the other day. So I could actually just skip down to that, hopefully. And where was it? 7 days, 7 days, 7 days. Oh, guys, your mummy is flawless. But anyway, let's also come back to that a bit later. So yeah, there are revisions happening, but essentially, this is I actually really recommend this Wikipedia article, so much so that this is really the biggest and main and only news in Japan right now. And there was a question in Parliament, and I must admit, I am I still haven't seen, and I haven't seen in the coverage which I've been reading the summaries of this, that there was a question asked in Parliament. So they have question time in Parliament. I explained this last week, I think. There was a question time in Parliament. And someone asked the Prime Minister, how would you treat, hey, Tim the Asian, great to see you. Someone asked, if China attacks Taiwan, as people are increasingly expecting China's probably going to do in the next few years, and China should not invade Taiwan. The world accommodates the ego of China by, basically, in exchange for China not being an asshole towards Taiwan and invading it and killing lots of people, Taiwan gets to go on sort of quietly being Taiwan, and everybody basically pretends that China is the only China, and everything's sort of cool like that. There's no reason to go killing lots and lots of people and putting, Taiwan under a dictatorship and triggering a chain of security things which could lead to a nuclear war between America and China, and certainly would lead to attacking of US bases within Japan, which would be generally expected to defend Taiwan against China, which would also lead to the attacking of Japan, and which Abe has said in the past, when they asked, would Japan defend Taiwan in the event of a crisis, Shinzo Abe said, if Taiwan is fine, Japan is fine. Taking that phrase as official government policy, which is kind of like is called the sort of policy that so long as nothing happens on Taiwan, there's no question to answer kind of a thing. Someone asked the new Prime Minister, Sanai Takaichi, in Parliament, if China attacks Taiwan, will that be considered something that under Japan's self-defense law, there's a clarification added to the self-defense law that Japan could participate in collective defense. It could help out the United States in defense if it was in a conflict which represented a threat to the existence of Japan. So, and this is basically aimed at both ideas of, for example, a war between Russia and America, but more directly, if in a conflict over Taiwan, if China did attack US bases in Japan, Japan theoretically wouldn't be able to defend those bases, those US bases. However, it could treat the attack on American bases as an attack on Japan and go in and support America. Well, the question was put directly, that would the Prime Minister consider that a Chinese invasion of Taiwan would itself represent a threat to the existence of Japan? And she said yes, and hence that would trigger Japan's right to collective self-defense, i.e., while Japan has renounced the right to use force except in self-defense, Japan's definition of self-defense would include a Chinese invasion of Taiwan, which, if you ask me, is great. The world's fourth biggest military and the world's largest militaries are both pledged to stopping the world's second biggest military by spending and by other measures, already the world's biggest military, from invading and bullying a tiny small country. So it should serve as a pretty good deterrent to China and China's alleged plans to invade Taiwan. And so on that, China, Japan, although everybody kind of pretends the emperor's new clothes, everybody pretends that China's like that Taiwan doesn't exist and sort of goes along with the fiction in order to keep China happy. In the end of the day, making it clear that they can't just proceed with whatever plans they have to invade it without there being consequences is a good thing. Because again, this is sort of what happened. Everybody thinking if you just ignore Russia and be nice to them, that they'll be reasonable and they wouldn't do anything crazy like invade one of their neighbors like Ukraine. and they did it. And this is kind of exactly what we're facing more and more of a likely reality. China is already building up its military to change the status quo, and so asking point blank, in a kind of a roundabout way, would Japan participate in the defense of Taiwan? And the Prime Minister said, sure. Now, Sanai Takaichi is known both as a defense hawk and someone who's, who's sort of anti-China and pro-Taiwan. And you might say, well, who in Japan would be pro-China? I mean, isn't everyone pro-Taiwan? And the answer to that is no. Within the LDP, there are significant and powerful factions within the LDP, some of which at times are actually in control of the government, who are very pro-China and would not have any official events with Taiwan or anything like that. But certainly Japan actually has. I mean, Taiwan is basically a country with the same population as Australia. It is smaller than Australia, but it has the same population. And given that it is the home to most of the world's most important semiconductors and computer chips, it's critical for the entire world's economy. So it's like Australia, only more important. And, you know, yeah, while it is very small in comparison, even to South Korea, let alone Japan and China, it's important to the world economy. And in any case, it should be allowed to exist and it shouldn't be controversial. And the fact is as well, with Taiwan, actually, it is super interesting. So Taiwan has a fascinating history vis-a-vis Japan. When martial law ended in Taiwan in 1989, many Taiwanese basically tried to ship their kids overseas as quickly as possible. And the two countries that were the easiest to send that were most open to migration, that people sent their kids to, were Canada, where a lot of Taiwanese sent their kids to Vancouver, and to New Zealand, where we were similarly open as Canada. And I remember in my last year of intermediate school and my first year of high school in New Zealand, my class suddenly had, my 40-person class suddenly had like 10 or 11 Taiwanese kids in it. And these kids were sent over. Their parents stayed in Taiwan and sent money, and often they would send grandparents over with their kids. And all of a sudden I had all these classmates who were Taiwanese and they couldn't speak English, and it was really, really tough for them. But through, it was kind of funny, through having many, many Taiwanese classmates and next door neighbors, and actually finding with the old people next door, I was learning Japanese in school. And the grandparents spoke really good Japanese, actually, and were quite nostalgic, actually, for Japanese rule of Taiwan. And this is where you learn a little bit about the very, very complicated history of Taiwan. That, you know, this is a kind of a sensitive way of putting it, but essentially, Taiwan was kind of a renegade sort of a province until the Sino-Japanese War, where Japanese pirates would occasionally sort of invade it and all this sort of stuff. But in the 19th century, after the Sino-Japanese War, Japan, I think, started. Was it after the Sino-Japanese War that Japan got sovereign? I don't think it was. I think it came after Okinawa, but certainly Japan sort of got Taiwan as a prize from a war against China. And they started colonizing it. And yes, they colonized it a bit like they did with Korea and so on. And they sort of took everything over. But the island was sort of not really governed or developed before the Japanese. And while the Japanese were, you know, assholes like they were sort of everywhere as a colonial government, what happened was there was a period of about 6 or 7 years after World War II where the Japanese pulled out. There was a bit of chaos. And then all of a sudden, the nationalist forces who had been fighting on the mainland in the Civil War against the communists decided that they had to evacuate everyone to Taiwan. And these people weren't from Taiwan, they weren't based in Taiwan. They were mainland Chinese who were basically, who were from the defeated and somewhat corrupt and failed nationalist regime. And they all evacuated to Taiwan. And when they came into Taiwan, they basically saw Taiwan as a Japanese province that had been handed over to China, and they didn't trust anyone there, you know, and they didn't know what was going to happen to them when they arrived on this island. So the Chinese, the nationalist Chinese, when they arrived in Taiwan in the mid-1950s or early 1950s, they immediately imposed martial law. And the military forces, as they landed on Taiwan, they basically invaded Taiwan and they started sort of shooting people. And so the people who lived in Taiwan, some of whom were welcoming towards a reestablishment of Chinese control over the island, a lot of indigenous Taiwan. When I say indigenous Taiwanese, it's still often Han Chinese. There are actual indigenous Taiwanese, but they have a kind of certainly what I heard directly from some elderly Taiwanese is that, and what I've seen in different history documentaries and accounts, is that some considered that the rule of the nationalist Chinese over Taiwan to be more colonial and less friendly and helpful than the Japanese rule. It made people, it was so bad that it made people nostalgic for Japanese rule as being relatively benign, at least by comparison. And even today, there was Lee Teng-hui, who was a president of Taiwan, who was, I think, the first Taiwanese-speaking president of Taiwan, who he would show up at Yasukuni every year. He was a Japanese World War II a proud World War II veteran of the Japanese Imperial Army. And very much, yeah, Japan was great during the war. It is funny every year, and Japanese nationalists love the Taiwanese because the Taiwanese make them feel good about all the bad things that they did, because they show up at Yasukuni and they're proud. Many, not all, but some are proud of their service and so on. But that said, of course, about 50% of the population of Taiwan are people who came over after World War II from the mainland and perceived Japan the same as mainland Chinese do, as Japan was the bad guys, including, and of course, many people in Taiwan still suffered from oppressive rule. So there are Taiwanese who didn't like Japanese rule, and there are certainly mainland Chinese who are still like, oh, remember the Japanese were the bad guys. But there are a lot of Taiwanese who are like low key, and many of these people, talking with them and living with them in New Zealand, they're all in my Japanese classes, and they're all saying to me, seriously, like, we would rather be part of Japan than part of mainland China. And while Japan isn't obviously going to do that, because China is Japan's most important trading partner, most stuff that used to be made in Japan, even by Japanese companies, is now made in China. So not pissing off China is a major task of any Japanese prime minister, including Takaichi. So you can't piss off China too much. But at the same time, Japan has a kind of a special relationship with Taiwan that I think, and there's other dimensions to this as well. The Japanese low-key also supported the nationalists, actually, and they helped some retired Japanese Imperial Army generals apparently got smuggled into Taiwan to act as advisors for the nationalists, because they wanted to hold out some hope that the Chinese might be able to prevent China becoming communist. So there's all kinds of very complicated history between Taiwan and China. But the result is that there are factions who are very rabidly pro-Taiwan, and there are pro-China. There are people who say, hey, we shouldn't be sacrificing Japan's well-being and economic security for the sake of a little 20 million person island. But a little 20 million person island, Australia's a little 20 million person island. I mean, granted, with a whole bunch of animals that can kill you. But Taiwan, between that and all of the, and its power and semiconductors and everything else, and just generally being nice people, there's a lot of really, really good reasons to be nice. So this is where we go, where I think that Takaichi is a drooling right-wing maniac, but I also completely endorse her saying that if any asshole invades those nice people, we're going to stick up for them. And that's kind of what she said. She kind of said attacking them is basically like attacking us, and we're going to treat it that way. And, we're going to make life difficult. To which China completely lost its shit. I mean, immediately the Chinese consul in Osaka said, what was the quote? It was a delightful quote. He went onto Twitter and said, "We have no choice but to cut off the dirty neck that has lunged at us without a moment's hesitation. Are you ready?" Now, he deleted the post. But when Japan says that of course, we would defend ourselves if we thought it threatened our existence, and that includes if any asshole invades Taiwan. To which he said, "How about we just decapitate your prime minister for you?" That was the response. China's continued to lose its shit in different degrees. Basically, they're trying to pressure Japan into apologizing and retracting the statement that Japan would ever defend itself and abrogate China's right to invade whoever the hell it likes. Dan H observing that I'm sounding like, hey, Australia is one of my favorite countries, as is Taiwan, by the way. But anyway, China's now China's already taken back all the pandas, but plans to bring pandas back to Japan. They're basically pulling the nuclear card on Japan. They're threatening not to allow any kawaii animals from China back into Japan, and that's something. They issued a travel advisory saying it is far too dangerous to be Chinese in Japan right now, and they've told tour companies to cancel tours, which has apparently resulted in Six of the weekly flights from China, out of those, like now they're down to like four, and they're reducing the flights between Japan and China. A lot of tours have been cancelled. Um, some people might say, "Oh, that's great," in terms of it'll make some over-touristed places less crowded. But that said, of course, that does impact directly hotels and tourism-related businesses, which are now a big part of Japan. China also said, okay, after we accepted all the science that Japanese seafood is safe, it is now banned once again. I don't think they're going to stop fishing illegally around Japanese waters and taking the fish back, but they're banning seafood imports, and they're looking at banning beef imports as well. So China is going sort of full on trying to pressure Takaichi to say that she doesn't like Taiwan anymore, and China can have its way with it if it wants, which she's not going to do. And I must say, and the other thing that's happened throughout this crisis, you might think 4 weeks in, and she's already started a huge crisis with China. What a disaster of a prime minister who doesn't know diplomacy, and what do Japanese care about China? Well, her popularity is as high as Junichiro Koizumi's, and it's only gone up since the crisis started, which is also a reassuring thing that Japanese sort of know when bullshit is happening. And bullshit, and China just does this. They just lose their shit and I don't really see how anyone can reasonably be pissed off at being told that they can't invade anybody, except for maybe America under certain circumstances. America doesn't like being told it can't invade countries. That's also true. But basically, Japan's saying that no, it would not be cool if China invaded Taiwan. Granted, saying that they might participate and help defend Taiwan. They're saying that's a change of the status quo. But, I think China, like quadrupling the size of its military in 5 years, is also kind of changing the status quo. So Japan is basically right. China's also cancelled a planned three-way meeting between a regular meeting between Korea, Japan and Korea. China, Korea, and Japan, sort of a K-pop demon hunter sort of summit that they have every year. I guess South Korea is going to be sitting there with China, and China's going to be saying, "Aren't you glad Japan isn't here and it's just you and me?" And I'm sure South Korea is going to have both positive and negative feelings about that situation. But look, China's throwing its toys out of the cart at Japan, saying that, maybe it's not a good idea for you to invade Taiwan. I actually think, as far as I'm concerned, I like to start new administrations, even led up by drooling right-wing maniacs, to be, I like to approach them with an open mind. And I'm all for Takaichi on this. I don't think she said anything wrong. I mean, again, she probably shouldn't have said it, or she shouldn't have said it as directly or the way that she said. And even she admits that. She says, in future, she's not going to make reference to any third-party countries with relation to Japan's right to defend itself. But, she should be a little bit more classy and ambiguous. But I think between the vice ministerial appointments of lots of women and this, she's doing things like setting up a committee to figure out how to beat up foreigners, which isn't entirely cool with me. But I think beat up, to be more specific, to have stricter enforcement on foreigners that don't follow rules and stuff like that. So there's things that might not be cool. But I'd say on this fight, I'm actually kind of like the Prime Minister's not wrong. That's my take. Anyway, their cookies will have a bad fortune. No bedtime cookies indeed. Well, that's pretty much it. No soup for you, no pandas for you. That is exactly the kind of situation. And Japan just deals with this. And I know this is where, like with North Korea, everyone was telling Japan for years and years, you should join the rest of the world and engage with them and bring them back in and give them a hug and kiss them and everything like that. And Japan's like, yeah, you go about that. We're just going to sit over here and not get involved. And it's kind of funny. Japan's whole culture, half of it, the solution to 80% of problems in Japan is to not get involved. And it's usually the right answer. There's a thing about Western culture and English speaking, English colonial, including America. That includes you guys, America. The sort of Anglo-Saxon sort of British culture that if whenever you see a problem, you must have a crusade and you must confront it and talk, reason with it and bring it down and conquer it and all this sort of stuff. And Japan's just like, yeah, how about you just shut the fuck up? And you know what? I would say, being a busybody and a fuss and, trying to, intervene in everybody else's shit, it doesn't always work out pretty well. I think Japan's approach is actually pretty good. And with China losing, acting like this, I do think that Japan's kind of waiting it out thing. The thing is, China also knows that that's what Japan's going to do, and Japan's just going to hope that China's just going to put on a performance. But if China really wants to punish Japan, it'll probably get worse before it gets better. So hopefully that doesn't get too much worse, but we'll have to see what happens. So yeah, pardon me. Well, I've managed to chew up 40 minutes on one story, but that is the main story of the week. So we'll see what else we've got in here. Any other people join the chat? Not that I can see. So I'm going to continue on. But feel free to hit any to throw in any comments or anything like that. I wish that the comments would highlight up like they used to, so I could see when people were talking to me. But anyway, Gaijin Mummy, she's done a sort of a translation about illnesses in Japanese, common at this time of year with winter. So byoki, which is indeed sick or illness, and no one really says this to mean sick unless you are dying of mental. That's right, byoki. When you say that someone's byoki, that could also mean that they're byoki. So that is indeed an accurate translation. Kaze, which means you've got a cold, which means go the fuck to work. It's just a cold. Arugi is again when foreigners say that they have an allergy to something. The response in the restaurant is, "Are you sure? Why don't you just try eating a bit?" Zutsu, headache, go to work but sad. Fukutsu is a stomach ache, go to work but with pain. And I've seen people do that with ulcers. That's true. Oh, there was a guy in my last company called Gary, which sounds Gary sounds like Getty. Getty is diarrhea, of course. This is why they laugh at you, Gary. And I remember once I was explaining that I was working with a particular person called Gary who would call very, very late night meetings. He'd call meetings at like 1 o'clock in the morning at a law firm. Like he'd come back from whining and dining clients just when we're trying to get home by taxi because the trains have stopped. And he calls a freaking team meeting at 1:30 in the morning and gives us stuff that we have to do before we go, which keeps us there till 3 or 4 every morning. And I was suffering. And I remember I turned it one day. I was looking at a paralegal said, "You know, dude, Hiko, you look like crap." And I said, "Yeah, I'm suffering from Gary." In Japanese, I said, "Yeah," and she sort of looked at me, and I realized I didn't mean it like that, although I kind of do. Yeah, I was literally suffering from Gary. Bimpy. And that's why they make fun of people called Ben, because that's right, Ben is also Bimpy. That is funny. Netsu, go to work, but with a mask. That is what they do, and they make everybody sick. Coughing. Do not do this on the train, but people do. Hakige. Go to work, but over there. Auto vomiting, which people do on the train platform after the end of year party Bonenkai peer pressure affliction. You don't see that so much anymore, but definitely back in my day, including myself. I always thought I was always the most considerate because all these people are throwing up all over the trains and the platforms. You don't see this anymore. Drinking has gone down a lot, but people used to throw up everywhere. And the one time I had to do it, I ran out of the train onto the platform and I ran up to the rubbish bin and I threw up directly into the rubbish bin. And I was disoriented, and when I went to run back to the train, I ran to the train going the opposite direction of and I was going to Takao. I was going to the end of the line on the Chuo line. I went there and I passed out in a train going the wrong way. And then I got on the very last train going back to my direction, passed out, woke up. The station master was shaking me saying, "Oh my God, son, you've hit the end of the line. Are you okay?" And that was actually my stop. Nobody would have thought. Everybody thinks someone who looks like me lives in a fancy neighborhood like an hour away, but for me, it was exactly where I was supposed to be. So it was pretty good service. That sort of thing doesn't happen anymore. Those were the good old days. But when I told people that I'd thrown up into the rubbish bin, they were like, "Oh my God, you're so inconsiderate to the person collecting the rubbish." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, they're like, "Oh, no, you should be more considerate and throw up on the train platform." I never understood how it's more considerate to throw up where people could walk through by accident, rather than directly into a plastic rubbish bag that you just have to pick up. I mean, maybe there's a problem there, but you can sort of pick it up without hitting. I thought I was a very considerate, throwing up, drunken, Bonenkai peer pressure afflicted young salaryman, but apparently I was not. So there we go. There is another reason I can't turn my back on you. Who knows? What about the people who clean? I guess they use power hoses. I don't know. I wouldn't want to go. I mean, honestly, yeah, you don't want to think too much. I mean, believe me. Yeah. So now that I think of some of the things that they host platforms of, there are accidents that happen, pretty gory ones sometimes, which fortunately I've not seen directly. But the train station staff are pretty quick to put up the blue sheets and everything to sort of hide when things do. But I imagine that they've got a lot of procedures for quickly cleaning platforms. Again, doesn't happen as much as it used to. But there again, I also don't live at the end of the train lines anymore. That was a lot darker than I was expecting. Her corrected translations are amazing. Oh, wait a minute, it's still going. Kafuncho means April, hay fever. Of course, for me, it actually means this time of year. I don't have it yet because it's not really been dry enough that this time of year I often get hay fever as well. And influenza, which is everyone in your family is fine, but school is cancelled without notice for a week. Yes, definitely the perspective of a mother, but that is definitely a thing that happens. So yes, once again, guys, your mummy is a genius and must be protected at all costs. G is hemorrhoids for those who don't want to Google it. That is a thing. Eder, glad that you can make it. Inconvenience for a direct person versus inconvenience to the comments. I can see that with the throwing up thing. Yeah, thank you. It was very. I thought I was being very considerate. I think you're speaking Romanian. Mulțumesc. Anyway, so floor pizza. Technically, we call it platform pizza in Japan, but yeah, I haven't used that word for a while. And passed out again. You don't really see them anymore. I wonder if that's just I'm living in better neighborhoods now. I used to live in neighborhoods that were like, yes, covered in passed out salarymen. But the drinking thing has really, really declined, and it's really for the bit of smoking and drinking has disappeared a lot anyway. I see we have diarrhea stories happening, so my work here is done. Continuing on, so other stories that we have, the MASH battle. I won the MASH battle. Thank you, DJ Sunnyside Up. 3 weeks in a row now, actually. This is another week where he made a track that I thought sounded like something I would make, and I made a track that probably sounded like something he would make. So never try to guess who's making the track. Just vote for the one that you like, which is always going to be mine anyway. So yes, victorious. I've already picked out the new MASH battle. I've decided. I was actually on my music channel. I was looking at recommended videos, and I don't know if any of you remember the viral video from 2008, I think it was, of two guys standing in a living room with one guy on a keyboard and the other guy singing Big Booty Bitches. And it's been stuck in my head all week. And if it's going to be stuck in my head, it's going to be stuck in your heads as well. Dan H asking, where is Sunny? Sunny is on a surf trip, so he's in a better place now. And by that, I mean surfing, not dead. So yeah, that's probably why he's not able to watch the show. But yeah, he will be back. And that will be the MASH battle track next week, unless one of you guys makes an awesome enough suggestion for the after party that I completely changed my mind. In fact, that's right. I haven't actually communicated it to Sunny yet, so I can still change my mind. But right now, you have to come up with a track that is better than Big Booty Bitches. And I don't know if that's possible. I feel like we've done movie themes and TV show themes and 80s classics. I feel like viral 2000s YouTube videos is the next area that we have to remix. That's my idea. Anyway, foreigners, we be increasing everywhere. Not really big news, but some towns, particularly towns like the TSMC plant in Kyushu, are not only importing Taiwanese people, by the way, but people from other countries in Asia. And again, some companies saying in these articles, well, yeah, Japanese people don't want to do overtime, so foreigners like work better. In spite of the fact that the government here, like everywhere else, is wanting to crack down on foreign people that do work. But there you go. It's kind of unavoidable, and that's really all I have. That in the Japan news. I think I did say something. Oh, you know what? In the title, I saw something in the title. Okay, Sumo Taboo. Oh, yeah, that's right. There's a slight thing where actually, what did they do today? There's the Prime Minister's trophy, which is always given by the Prime Minister in Tokyo. The final was today, and a Ukrainian guy won it. First time ever Ukrainian sumo wrestler won the sumo. And normally at the trophy ceremony, there's like 100 trophies that the winner gets, including a Prime Minister's trophy, which the Prime Minister always presents. However, women are not allowed to stand on the dohyo of sumo. The reason being that sumo wrestling is a derivative of in fact, it still is, the referees and the clothes that they wear, those are actual priests. Those are Shinto priests' gowns. The whole idea of sumo was that it's a religious ceremony for entertaining. I don't know if it's actually for entertaining the gods, but they're representing the will of the gods on earth or whatever. The whole that space is meant to represent sort of a sacred space where heaven exists on earth and where humans can sort of take the place of gods competing. And hence the salt that they throw before matches is purifying salt, and they do all these sorts of things. And there's this idea in Shinto religion, which actually is very similar to Maori folk religion as well, that there are sort of yin and yang type forces, and that women basically pollute and contaminate sacred spaces. Or at least that women have different sort of energy. So women are forbidden from standing on the sacred blessed Dohyo Mount because they'll like ruin the whole thing. But of course, it's perfectly fine to have a prime minister's trophy, because who's ever heard of a woman prime minister? And this was actually a problem as well in other parts of the country. I believe when there have been mayors, for example, of Osaka and so on, and they've always presented the trophy, and the Sumo Association said, no, you can't do that. Your woman energy will contaminate the ring, and it's become a problem in the past. I don't know that for someone who's kind of a right-wing traditionalist, I don't know that if Takaichi would push on them that no, step aside. I'm the prime minister. Forget your folk religion mumbo jumbo. So I don't know if that's exactly what happened. I should have watched it. I saw the final today. There was a playoff where this Ukrainian guy won the tournament, which itself was pretty awesome. As far as I can see, I mean, foreigners don't pollute the ring, only women. So, dude, Jericho, the man, dude, Jericho, you are making this guy. I've said this like every week. Nihon John. Everybody subscribe to his channel immediately. He makes the idol content and stuff. I don't really give a crap about idols. But I love the way that you educate us about it. And it's like, it's informative. Your videos are really well made. I've said this before. I'm just going to say it again. Nihonjon is awesome. And I'm very glad and happy to see you in the comments. And I salute you. You do a fantastic job with all of your videos. Much better than I do with these. But anyway, yeah, so it's not clear. It looked like it was heading for a thing where whether Takaichi was going to say, hey, it's my trophy. I get to present it, bitch. To the Sumo Kyokai, probably she wasn't going to do it. Probably she was going to have someone with a penis present the trophy, because that's clearly the most important aspect of being a prime minister from the Sumo Association's perspective. So we'll see what happened there. I don't know how that got resolved, but it was kind of coming up that what are they going to do? They've never dealt with this type of genitalia before. The other thing is Goldman Sachs has taken over Burger King. Worried about Gordon Gekko possibly chopping it up and selling it for parts, delicious parts. I don't mind Burger King. I don't go to McDonald's at all anymore, but I'll occasionally give in and have a Burger King. I like Wendy's if I'm going for a chain burger in Japan. Wendy's is great. They actually, I like the fresh meat. You can get I feel like after working out, I can justify the amount of protein that's in a Wendy's burger, but Burger King's pretty good. But apparently they've just been bought out. They have a lot of properties, and Goldman Sachs says that they are going to keep them operating as is. So we'll see how that goes. Apparently they think it's a good business, and why not? With all of these inbound tourists and so on, it's probably not a bad thing to sort of have. And they have a lot of good locations. Hopefully we won't see anything get shut down, but we'll see. Sure, I don't care about the idols. Says Dan H. I suppose it's one of those things where it's such a world dominated by the nerds who just live inside it that it can be dense, right, for people to get into. But I suppose if you're interested in getting into the world of idol culture, he just provides all these TLDRs and all the dynamics and all the backstories, which make the idols and the idol businesses and the groups and the stories, it makes them interesting, so it actually is an entry point to understanding that part of Japan. That is a really important part of Japan. Abel Rosario, good to see you. And Mossberger as well. I was one of these people when I got to Japan. It's like, yeah, it's a tiny burger, but it's made really well and it's justified the price. It's like they've gone for quality in a smaller package. And it took me about 10 years to realize, no, that is really good marketing, and it's also lies. The burgers have no flavor. They're always too hot. You always burn your mouth, and they have no flavor. But having no flavor is better than Freshness Burger, which is basically hot garbage put in between two bread buns and, is inedible. So I think just like you have the ranking of family restaurants, where you have, Royal Host at the top and Jonathan at the bottom. Caesarea price-wise should be at the bottom, but it's actually up pretty close to Royal for me. If you've ever got 2,000 yen to survive a whole week of food on eating out, Caesarea is probably the best place to spend it. But with the burger chains, you've probably got at the bottom Freshness, Moss, Lotteria. Lotteria is kind of a wannabe McDonald's. I put Lotteria below Moss, but above Freshness Burger. Then you got Mickey D's, which I just don't go to anymore. When I go there, it's like Coca-Cola, where you find you're drinking 3 cups of it a day when you're having it. With McDonald's, it becomes too much of a habit, and I've had some bad experiences with McDonald's, so I stopped. But definitely, probably McDonald's above Moss Burger. But there's also increasingly good gourmet burgers in Tokyo, by the way, as well. So that's pretty cool. But Moss indeed does suck. In-N-Out is better. Was it In-N-Out? No, it was In-N-Out. I went to an In-N-Out burger when I was going down to San Diego. Well, yeah. Everyone raves about it, and it's good. It's not quite like go out of your way for it, but it was pretty good. It was. Yeah. There was actually, I was served in San Diego by a supermodel, good-looking Samoan, part Samoan girl, and I was wearing a Samoan rugby shirt at the time, and she was like, "Whoa, is that Samoan?" And I'm like, "I'm from Auckland." It's like, it's a Samoan city. I got to speak Samoan like 2 or 3 times when I was in LA and San Diego, actually, including to the best-looking Samoan person I've ever met, who served me an In-N-Out burger. So yeah, I'd probably go back. The burgers weren't bad either. Anyway, do they have Chili's in Japan? They probably do somewhere. But yeah. Of course, military bases. Good point there. Military bases in Japan have everything, but of course, if you try going to Chili's without a pass, you can actually be shot. And I don't know. People used to go like this for Taco Bell. Taco Bell used to be something you could only get on your Costco. And I know, and again, this idea, when I'd see how crazy Americans would go for Taco Bell, I'm like, I was thinking maybe it's worth getting shot for. Maybe I should try climbing onto the base. And then they opened a real Taco Bell in Shibuya, and I went and I tried the whole menu. I laid it out. I tried. Oh my God, that's so bad. I mean, I kind of understand how it's like crappy comfort food for when you're 16 years old and drunk for the first time and you can't afford anything else to soak it up. I mean, we have that in New Zealand. It's called Georgie pie. But Taco Bell, no, I had it once and I was so traumatized. I'm never having it again. So there you go. What happened from nuclear engineer to Chili's employee? Who knows? I ask myself that question every day. What the hell happened? I'm sorry. I feel like I missed something very important here. But I don't know. Maybe they're really good. Anyway. Oh yeah, Skia, of course. Denny's is kind of in the middle. I'll definitely put it above Jonathan. But everything is below Royal Host. If you come to Japan, I actually recommend you include, as well as going to the convenience stores and trying the things there. That's sort of the regular, normal people culture stuff. Royal Host is definitely the family restaurant you should try. It's amazing. It's great value. It's more expensive than the other ones, but still cheap and great food. It is coming up on 11. I'm going to set up for the after party. I can basically party all night. I'm not doing anything tomorrow. It's my dad's birthday today, which means everybody gets the day off tomorrow. So yeah, I'm going to play your music. I'm going to play my music. You guys can try to persuade me that I should do something other than Big Booty Bitches for the next MASH battle. So bring your best song recommendations. I'm going to have to take a minute to set up here. But damn, Alvaro Rosario was a nuclear engineer in the Navy. Holy crap. Yeah, thank you for not for not ending the world as part of that. But yeah, Lara's working tomorrow. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I guess somebody has to keep the lights on for everybody else. But yeah, wherever you are, I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. Remember to join us next week. We'll probably do the 2.5 Voyages thing next week. Hopefully Victor is feeling better. By the way, I hope that you're feeling better as well, Erin. I know that you've had a long struggle as well with leg things. But yeah, anyway, for those who want to hang around, the after party is right there. Aaron has thrown up the link, so come and join me for the after party. We play some tunes, and if that's not your thing, yeah, follow me on all the socials. I'm probably more on Instagram than anything else lately, just taking nice, it's a beautiful time of year at the moment. And come and join me next week at the same time slot, probably on Victor's channel. We'll announce it, but that'll be 2.5 Voyages if he doesn't make it to next week. We'll be back here on Tokyo Tonight probably. So have a good week, everybody. Take care, and I will see you on. I can see you, Eric Bailey. I don't know why you would be banned here, but you're most welcome here. See you at the after party. Have a good week, everybody. Peace. Remember to hug a panda if you see one.